Find the perfect ride for you today with the New Year New Ride sales event at Guam Auto Spot. Get behind the wheel of the 2024 Outlander Sport starting at just $22,995 or only $156 per paycheck. Visit GuamAutospot.com or call 671-478-AUTO.
Wendy's new Cajun chicken sandwich. So spicy, it's pica.
You or someone you know looking for a job? Well, Sentinel Security is hiring and they're offering starting pay between $10 to $15 an hour. And they'll train you too. Email them today that you're interested at sentinelsolutionsguam@gmail.com. Sentinel Security, Guam's most reliable security solution for your home and your business. Doesn't this look really good? Say hello to the coolest party in your hands. Cold Stone Guam's birthday cake Oreo cookie ice cream taco. They took everything you love. Birthday cake Oreo cookie ice cream, rainbow sprinkles, rich chocolate, and a crispy waffle taco shell and turned it into the ultimate summertime celebration. This signature creation won't be around forever, so grab yours while it lasts. Visit Cold Stone at their GPO or Micronesia Mall locations today. Cold Stone Creamery, the ultimate ice cream experience.
Kandit News is brought to you by 76 Circle K Guam.
Good evening, my dear friends. My name is Troy Torres, and it's 8:06 p.m. on Sunday, July 13, 2025. A happy early birthday to one of my gay best friends, Gerald Lujan. His birthday is tomorrow on July 14, and he will be, I'm 45, so he'll be 46 tomorrow. Girl, we are old. And he looks younger than me, so I would call him the B word right now. But you know what? It's Sunday, so let's not get into all of that. How are you all doing? I promised you I would get back into the saddle. I promised you I'd get back to work. And so today that's kind of happened. Did a live show earlier today. Wrote my first story in, 2 weeks. My first written story in 2 weeks just now. And presenting our video editorial on that news story, along with the accompanying video of an interview that we presented to you back in March 21 of this year. That was your first glimpse into the Tenorio corruption case, because we were the first to have started to report on this in October or November of last year, and then we brought you interviews from two of the witnesses who exposed the federal investigation into Charissa Tenorio and others, who include more than half of Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio's family. I actually was supposed to present this, or I was supposed to do this story before I went on vacation, but I got lazy. Not lazy, but I was tired. I needed a vacation. And so I thought, okay, today's the day that I'm going to crank this story out. I'm going to re-listen to the interviews. I'm going to call the witnesses, get the statements, and get this. So the past several hours, this is all I've been working on. And so here it is. So this story, it appears now on the the text of this, and it's going to be on our website right after I'm done with this. And by the way, we're live casting to both Facebook and YouTube. Eric Rosario helped me, figured it out, and this multi-stream. So if you wanted to transfer over to YouTube, I'm not sure if we were able to get down pat the key so that it saves the live recording on YouTube. I don't know if that's been done yet. We'll figure that out. Anyway, so there's a whole lot more to the alleged criminal enterprise of Charissa Tenorio and Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio's family. And we know this from months of witness statements and interviews that we have had with people. We know that the allegations go beyond PUA fraud and what the grand jury indicted or presented a true bill on June 25 of this year, where they indicted 7 people who allegedly were involved in a conspiracy to defraud the federal government through federal program theft of the PUA program and the associated conspiracy, money laundering, wire fraud, mail fraud, and even witness tampering charges that went into that indictment. And we understand that the federal government has, and as it has done in the past, has every right to go back and to supersede the indictment with further charges. In a previous live stream, I talked about the possibility that they could subtract charges. I was wrong. Johnny Rosario corrected me that no, that's not how superseding indictments work. You can only add, and you can even add defendants, but you can't subtract. There's another process for that. So anyway, there is the thinking by especially those who are witnesses in the investigation that there will be superseding indictments based on other crimes that allegedly have taken place since Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio came into power in January of 2019. And so what the public has been able to see from the federal government so far is the PUA fraud stuff, but what the public has been able to see only through Kandit, because we were the only ones who played those interviews of Pat and Tyler on March 21, 2025. We're the ones who've been reporting about this alleged criminal enterprise since October or November of last year. I can't remember which month exactly. But there's more. There's allegedly more than just PUA fraud. And in this story that we bring you tonight, there are 3 more things, 3 more chapters, if you will, of this criminal enterprise that allegedly involve bank fraud, illegal hiring into the government of Guam, and the third part is not, I'm not too clear whether this is illegal, but certainly it raises questions, suspicions, because of the connections to Adelup. But payment from businessmen and businesswomen to a company that Charissa Tenorio owns called CMFT Consulting. These are alleged payments made to this company so that these businessmen and businesswomen can get their tax liabilities waived, deferred, settled, otherwise a payment plan done. And so in the story that we published tonight, you'll see the details of it. But this is, essentially, let's start with the bank fraud, because the bank fraud is where we have the associated video, where we have the excerpt from the March 21 interview, where you can hear Pat talking about this. And remember, the information that Pat and Tyler presented that we published on March 21, 2025 regarding the PUA fraud, those details turned out to be the details that were written into the indictment. So, I would think in a reasonable person's opinion, looking at things, right, Pat and Tyler are credible. What they said, what we published on March 21, 2025 regarding the PUA fraud turned out to be true, and turned out to be what they said about the federal investigation, that there is a federal investigation. It is about PUA fraud, and it is about this detail, this detail, this detail. Those things turned out in the June 25 federal indictment. So automatically, Pat and Tyler, in the minds of any of those of you who do not know who Pat and Tyler are, who were not across the table from them, like we were when we were talking to them, who you did not have an opportunity like we did to vet their credibility. Now that you've heard what they've had to say about the PUA stuff, now you understand that they are credible witnesses. Now, they said more. And a good 1/3 of the Pat interview was about allegations that Charissa Tenorio had engaged in massive bank fraud. And what you're about to hear, what you're about to see in this excerpt from that March 21 interview, is Pat describing that conspiracy. And so here is Pat from that March 21 interview about allegations that Charissa Tenorio, among Charissa Tenorio's criminal enterprise, was this bank fraud con artistry. And you're aware of this.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So if there is fraud, alleged fraud regarding the PUA program, I've got to ask whether you are aware of any alleged fraud with anything else. There obviously is some sort of connection that Ms. Tenorio has with banks.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about that?
So I know of a lot of people that have shared experiences with me regarding loans, credit cards.
Credit cards and personal loans?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and this is not just one bank.
Okay, and this is not related to PUA or the government of Guam?
No.
Private transaction?
Yes.
Okay, tell us.
So basically, it's just basically falsifying a position title, their salary, right? How much they make within a year or within 2 years, right? Because you can't really get a loan unless you're established for 2 years. So basically backdating those things.
Okay.
To make it seem like these people are working for more than 2 years, even if they
Through comfort cuts?
through comfort cuts.
Okay.
And falsifying the check stubs.
And what?
Basically knowing the numbers, the math of how to get to whatever and retroactive back to like however many months or, you know what I mean, period ending.
Fabrication of income.
Yep.
And through comfort cuts, how about through Hot Dog and Co?
I'm not too sure about Hot Dog and Co.
Okay.
I've only ever heard for comfort cuts. Basically, right, she would convince these people to use their good name, their good credit to pull out a loan or even credit cards. And of course, all of those things would then get approved.
Okay.
And she would take it from them. She would either give them an X amount of money, but she would take the majority of it.
Of the proceeds from the loans or the credit cards?
Yes. And her thing is always, don't worry, I'll be paying the monthly for this, because I took this. But then those same people come back and, their credit goes down because she's missed payments. But she took that money, spent it all, and, promised these people to pay it.
What did she spend it on?
Man, you know what? It's crazy. Like, she really did have a spending problem.
Like what?
Lots of things, anything. It was like impulse, like Louis Vuittons, MAC makeup, anything.
What about the trips that she was taking, the several trips?
Oh yeah, to PI, her injection shots to lose weight from PI. I mean, it ain't working, but it definitely ain't working. But yes, all of those things, absolutely.
What were any of these people employed by the government of Guam or promised jobs in the government of Guam?
Yes.
Okay.
So, it's really hard, right, to believe something when it's just words, right? There's no proof of it. But it's believable because it's not just one or two people.
Okay.
It's a lot of people.
Okay.
So these people, right, I don't know how, I really don't know what she does, what she says, how she gets these people to willingly give her thousands and thousands of dollars, like, hey, man, I'm so sorry, I really need this, for whatever reason, right, whatever sob story she gives them, they believe it, they give it to her.
Okay.
She then cannot pay it back, so what she does, and man, I have witnessed that she would give these people jobs within the government.
When you say she's not a government official.
She's not. She wouldn't work it through Adeluke. She would just basically stick her fucking fat foot wherever it didn't belong. She bullied, people, directors, deputy directors, into doing whatever it is that she says,
Are you aware of this happening at the Port Authority?
Oh, yes, that is the number one because it's autonomous and that's where the money's at.
So she would bully people at the Port Authority to hire people who she selects. Yep. And many of these people also had some sort of transaction with her regarding PUA or bank fraud, alleged bank fraud, getting those loans and those credit cards. And it was a payback mechanism.
Yep.
And would those people accept it as, okay?
From what it looks like, I would say yes. Who helps her at the Port Authority?
First names.
Okay.
You don't say last names.
At one point, Davida.
Okay. Someone named Davida. Anyone else?
I hear the name Vivian a lot.
Okay. A name Vivian.
Carmen also.
Someone named Carmen. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, right, how it works, or how I understand it to work is applications, right? They get sent in. There's a deadline, right? So everyone sends in their applications. It goes through the rating process. So basically, it's based off of experience, right? Whose application is more qualifying for the specific position that they're trying to hire for. Correct? That's my understanding. Now, I've heard it several times where the listing as far as who qualifies from the most to least has been shuffled so many times just to get a specific person to the top.
Shuffled by one of these three people?
Yes. Okay.
Oh, goodness. All right. Quite a bit.
If it, I'd say that since this administration has had, I would say that an investigation should go to the hiring process at the port. Anywhere, actually.
What other agencies?
I know that most of it is just like the autonomous agencies.
Okay.
For sure, the number one is the port. Second is the airport.
Okay. What? All right. So Gina Call asked a very, very good question. Was this why there was an argument between Rory and Frankie Rosalind? So Gina Call is talking about, and you have to consider the proximity of this March 21 interview to the March 12 incident that happened between Frankie Rosalind and Rory Respicio, where allegedly Frankie Rosalind committed a workplace violence issue over at the general manager's office. Rory Respicio reported it. He had the courage to report it. And in his report, which was leaked to the media, Rory Respicio alleged that in an argument that Frankie Rosalind was having with Rory Respicio, it was about hiring. It started with the hiring of a relative of Frankie, or the non-hiring of a relative of Frankie Rosalind, and then it sort of avalanched into this hiring of people and doing what it is that Frankie Rosalind was allegedly placed at the port to monitor that Rory Respicio was doing. And there are a lot of unanswered questions there. And, I have to say, this administration is turning out to be the least transparent of all the administrations that we've ever, in my recollection of gubernatorial administrations that go back to the 1980s. This one just takes the cake for non-transparency, because you would expect the largest political corruption case in the history of the government of Guam, that Adelup would be answering more questions, that there would be more in the way of explanation to the people of Guam, that number one, Governor Luliangaro was not involved in any of this. Number two, Governor Luliangaro did not know that any of this was happening. Number three, Governor Luliangaro is doing everything that she can to protect the taxpayers and the people of Guam from further corrosion from this entire mess. We're not getting any of that. We're getting the standard, this is a personnel matter, this is in litigation. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It really is. And it's a disservice that Adelup people are doing to their boss, Governor Luliangaro. They are going to tank her legacy using these tactics, and by employing trolls from Adelup to go and attack the media and attack the victims and make every excuse in the book as to why Josh Tenorio should remain in office and why everyone should just stop scrutinizing these 7 people. It's not a good look, because you and I, we're not stupid. They think we're idiots and they want us to shut up. But we shouldn't. And so there's a lot of unanswered questions about that March 12 altercation, but I think many of us can read between the lines. I think many of us can see that Rory Respicio, the reason that he's been having problems with this group in the administration that is related to Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio, when you just connect the dots and put the pieces together, you see that Rory Respicio has been trying to get rid of these bad parts of the administration from the seaport. And I'll bet you they've been calling for his head. That they want Rory Respicio to go away because he's been trying to get rid of it. And then you have to wonder, beyond that, what is it that they're trying to protect over at the seaport? Because it can't just be for all of this political capital to be expended and for there to be a physical altercation in the general manager's office. It's got to be more than just hiring practices that are being protected. There is something else. And I wish that we could talk to Rory Respicio and get this and know what it is that he knows about what has been happening, what has been transpiring from this Tenorio camp and its alleged infiltration of the seaport. And what is it that Rory Respicio is investigating or trying to get rid of over at the seaport? Man, I bet an entire book can be written about that. So you hear Pat, and this is on March 21, talking about the alleged bank fraud. The personal loans, the credit cards, the repayment scheme was employment in the government of Guam, the collaboration with human resources officials or other officials in these autonomous agencies in order to change the scoring so that people who were not qualified for government jobs would qualify, and those people would be the victims of these personal loan and credit card alleged cons within 2 local banks. I mean, it's wow. and so, you know, there's that. There's all of that. And we're not going to get any answers from Adelup. We don't even know whether Adelup is going to launch an investigation, whether they already have launched an investigation. We have heard from a couple of senators who have been sort of like on the fence, but have said that they will call oversight hearings. They weren't very specific about those things. I think the Republicans are doing themselves a very big disservice by straddling the fence and not taking a definitive side in this. Because, my dear friends, you know, for as much as the trolls from Adelup like to come out and say, oh, Kandit's biased and whatever, first of all, we always say we're biased. Secondly, the truth is very much biased. The truth doesn't straddle the fence. The truth is on one side of the fence, and that's on the truth's side. And so these senators who are in charge of the legislature, and we count on them in times like this, to be the body that stands up for us against the corruption, they need to choose a side and choose it quickly. And I hope they choose our side. And so beyond that, it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the bank fraud and the alleged bank fraud and the alleged illegal hiring in order to compensate those victims or to keep their mouths shut about the fact that their credit scores were going down because the payments weren't being made and the banks were after them for the repayment of the personal loans and the credit cards. There is also now this issue about taxes. And we know about the tax issue because at least two of the people who allegedly paid CMFT, that stands for Charissa Marie Franquez Tenorio. Those are her initials. CMFT Consulting have said that they paid CMFT for Charissa Tenorio to consult with the Guam Department of Revenue and Taxation to get taxes waived, tax penalties waived, settlements done, payment plans, etc., etc. Now, I have to point out that there is nothing illegal about you or me or any business paying someone to advocate for you over at the Guam Department of Revenue and Taxation to get a settlement done. You can even do it. You can do it yourself. You can go to Rev Tax. You can call the whatever officer at Rev Tax and be like, look, I owe taxes. I would like to enter into a settlement, etc. There's nothing illegal about that. There's nothing illegal about Rev Tax entering into a tax settlement with you or waiving your tax penalties. It's something that's allowed, something that's always done. What is shady, of course, is for someone closely connected to the Lieutenant Governor of Guam making money consulting using there appears to be an appearance of undue influence coming from Adelup, so that a person who is close to the Lieutenant Governor can make money off of consulting fees, consulting on the official business of the government of Guam, especially on taxes. And so according to Pat was aware of the alleged activities, but Pat referred us to Rebecca, who was a direct witness. And Rebecca told us, because we were only aware of two, Rebecca said that there are several businessmen and businesswomen who paid fees to Charissa Tenorio through CMFT in order to get certain tax breaks accomplished. And that there are insiders within the Department of Revenue and Taxation who Charissa Tenorio would consult with. And that at least one of the victims or the alleged victims of this whatever, who did not get the service that they paid for through the consulting company rendered, went to Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio, according to Rebecca, to complain and just to get the money back from CMFT. And so showing, according to Rebecca, that Lieutenant Governor Tenorio was aware of what was going on. And according to Rebecca, the FBI is very much aware of all of this. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. I'll try to be back tomorrow with more. And it involves Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio not being honest publicly in two separate statements made days apart about what he knew and what he didn't know. Because you know what, my dear friends, being the largest political corruption conspiracy in the history of the government of Guam, this story is far from over. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. Good night, and God bless you all.
We got that dynamite. We got that dynamite.
Find the perfect ride for you today with the New Year New Ride sales event at Guam Auto Spot. Get behind the wheel of the 2024 Outlander Sport, starting at just $22,995 or only $156 per paycheck. Visit GuamAutospot.com or call 671-478-AUTO.